I will tell you that what we are like quadrupling down on is the unique differentiator about the creator economy, which is trust. Trust is the fuel that powers the creator economy. It's actually what a creator sells. The problem with that is when you have an AI creator, let's say it's just an AI creator like of me, that person can't tell you that the sleeves run short on this one sweater line. And so you should actually either like size up or like wear it as a mini. They also can't tell you that the buttons always fall off of this one brand. So like don't get those. And AI cannot tell you those things, right? Like that human experience becomes so important. If you start doing or building anything before you have a plan, you're going to end up in a mess of things. Like you want the full master plan. So you don't just like stick the house in the middle. Then you're like, wait, I didn't leave room for like a play set. You need to sort of understand what we call like the top of the puzzle box. Like, what does it look like when it's together? Intentionality, make a plan. Welcome to More to Say. I'm Amber Venz, founder of the $2 billion creator commerce platform, LTK. I've spent the last 14 years pioneering the creator economy. And on this podcast, I'm giving you direct access to the knowledge and perspectives of some of today's most influential people. I want you to stay ahead of the curve. So pull up a seat because we are just getting started. Well, guys, I just jumped into all the numbers about this podcast with my team. And what I found was that actually within our top 2 performing episodes, the solo episode from last year was actually one of your very most favorites. I will say I was shocked by that because I did start this podcast thinking I'm going to give you access to all the people in my life and my orbit and my influences. But it was exciting, but surprising to see that just me speaking to you was one of your favorites. So with that in mind, I wanted to give you the second solo episode. So I won't have any guests on this episode, and I'm going to hit on a couple of topics, and of course, get back to your QA. I always appreciate you guys writing in, telling me what you want to hear more of. Today, we're going to go through just what's going on in the creator economy, what's going on just for me at work right now with LTK and our team. And then I'll pretty much jump right straight into the QA as you guys asked it. So let's go ahead and get started. What is going on right now in the creator economy? This is a question that I'm asked constantly. And the last time I got to address this was before Christmas. So it's been several months ago. During that time, it's really become obvious to anyone using social media, whether it's for business or for pleasure, that social media has changed. In fact, over 74% of consumers in our recent consumer study say that social media is no longer social. It's really this move from creators and community to what Mark Zuckerberg now describes, and I quote, as broad entertainment and discovery. And a lot of people like broad entertainment and discovery. I like it. I think we see it in the numbers that socially we are now, a lot of us, it's compulsory to pick up our phones and open up a place to go be entertained. And we're flipping through those sorts of options. So I see how this fits into the business model, but it has changed from the reason that we initially downloaded these apps to the job that they now do for us today. Adam Mosseri, who is the head of Instagram, of course, owned by Meta, Facebook, he has emphasized now that stories are primarily intended for sharing with close friends and mutual followers, rather than serving as a broad distribution channel. So in January, on the 28th, if you go back to that post, he says specifically, stories are designed to connect people with others that they know in real life, their friends. This also is a shift. If you've been paying attention from social media, stories used to be a place that creators shared almost more than anything. Like it was, some people wouldn't even post in their feed. They just posted in their stories. And every year at the beginning of the year, we see from leadership at Meta, they actually come out and kind of tell you their plan. So you don't really even have to guess. Mark has also come out and said that this year he expects for not only last year he said the majority of content that we saw on his platforms was going to be recommended, which did very much become true. We saw that in the data. So by December, that kind of prediction or goal had become a reality. Now Adam coming out and saying that stories are going to be primarily intended for people who follow each other and are friends in real life really changes the way that we use that core distribution feature on the platform. He actually says that stories is not a distribution source anymore. So not a way to reach the masses. So what does this mean specifically for the creator industry? Well, I mean, two key things come to mind. First of all, using affiliate links in stories is no longer a viable strategy. So brands are really going to have to adjust to truly reach a creator's community. Creators are going to have to adjust to make sure that they are reaching their entire community. If you listen to my last solo episode, you heard me talk about how a creator's business is their reliably reachable, engaged community. Well, if you're reaching 1% of those within your stories, you're really not reaching the masses that you could be, or that, at least broadly interested in what you have to offer because they've chosen to follow you, right? So you're really just only speaking to a tiny fraction, depending on what the algorithm is serving up that day. I think, looking at Adam's specific words on his post again, you go back to January 28th. This means that creators who are using that type of links in their stories, this is no longer going to be viable. And then again, for brands who have maybe dipped their toe into the creator universe by providing people with like links or codes to be used there, they're probably paying a lot more than they need to be for what they are actually getting. And this is no longer going to be a strategy to reach everyone who could potentially be influenced by that creator. Separately, we're seeing creators really adjust to use these social media platforms as what they should be used for today, which is qualified lead gen. So, what does that mean? It means that never before have we had a platform where they're actually vetting people who would be genuinely interested in what you have to offer. Like, that's the bright side of an algorithm. And that's why whenever Mark talks about its broad entertainment discovery, it's super personalized. When I open up my app, I do like what's being served to me. It's not creators. I go somewhere else for that, but it is interesting in the sense of just the broad stuff that I'm interested in, right? As a creator, that's wonderful for me to actually have my content potentially served to a group of people that are pre-vetted just for me. So when I say that it's qualified lead gen, this is like people who could potentially become part of your community. This is like fully what they call like top of the funnel in marketing. But what we're seeing is that creators are realizing that that's what social media is for now. And they're adjusting their strategy to use the platforms in that way and then build their actual community on a platform that's purpose built and aligned to their goals. This is that strategy that I call meet and keep. On social media now, you meet people. You keep them somewhere else. You cannot any longer keep them on social media because of the way that it has changed. So that's one of the biggest shifts that we're seeing in the creator economy right now. This will have major impact. The stories change alone will have major impact to the broader influencer economy, and they will need to go directly to the platforms where these creators are operating, in order to reach a much broader and scaled community and be able to drive, scaled value, whether that's impressions or all the way down through the conversions. You need a creator's entire audience, not just a 1% or a 10% of that group. Okay, next, what is going on at LTK? Honestly, so much that I've had a hard time even getting it all out to you guys. I feel like I've skipped a ton just on social media because we've been so heads down and we've almost been launching something every day this year. It's been pretty wild. I will tell you that what we are like quadrupling down on is the unique differentiator about the creator economy, which is trust. Trust is the fuel that powers the creator economy. It's actually what a creator sells. Like, if you're following me as a creator, first of all, thank you. But also, I've probably built trust with you around some specific topic, or maybe it's like you have kids my kids' ages, and you see that, oh, I am good at like mixing high and low, and I'm helping you find the right products for that, or my toy recommendations are spot on, or maybe you like my beauty stuff, and you've seen me, and whether it's on video or at events or otherwise, enough to realize for me to gain trust with you, to when I say that this is the face mask that I love and use before I go on my podcast, that maybe that is actually more compelling than seeing that face mask, for example, like on a billboard or a digital advertisement. That's trust. Well, in the era of AI everything, trust is actually becoming increasingly rare. We used to get a lot of trust, obviously, with our friends and our family. And then we got it from social media because we were following creators and we were plugged into communities that shared with each other. But now, we're seeing feeds full of stuff that's recommended to us, increasingly feeds full of AI. So Mark actually came out beginning of this year and said that the vast majority of content that you see on his platforms this year will become actually AI generated or created. The problem with that is when you have an AI creator, let's say it's just an AI creator like of me, that person can't tell you that the sleeves run short on this one sweater line. And so you should actually either like size up or like wear it as a mini. They also can't tell you, the buttons always fall off of this one brand. So like don't get those. Or, it's size, it's fit, it's value, it's all of the, it's how it ships, right? Like there are certain retailers where I literally won't recommend them to you because I just think the shipping takes too long. And I don't want you to have a crappy experience. If you see a dress that you want from me, I want it to be on your porch like tomorrow afternoon. Not, I don't want you to get like a notification, in 7 days that says we have your order and then 10 more until they ship it. That's an awful experience. So an AI cannot tell you those things, right? Like that human experience becomes so important. We're also not seeing just the promise from founders that our feeds are going to be filled with AI. We're seeing it in real life. So there's reports about other platforms who have tens of thousands of fake creators that no one knows is fake creators, and they're selling products for that platform. Like this is wild stuff that you're interacting with constantly. I was actually on a flight with our team the other day, and I was looking at a piece of content, and they're like, that's fake, right? And I fully did not. And they were trying to show me how this one specific type of content is like all completely fake, and there's like factories making this type of content, and it was some sort of a mix between like culture and news and almost like that sort of like thought leadership education type stuff. It's wild. I mean, I'm in this industry and I can't even see it. So I mention all of that because truth is just becoming so rare, and I think that that's actually going to make people want to come to creators even more. That's why this year we have really invested in LTK being the creator app. Like it is humans talking to real, they're a real person, a real human talking to a real community with a real perspective and real experiences, in the same way that you go to LinkedIn if you want to see what's going on, with your friends professionally or in a certain industry professionally. You're not going to like open up Pinterest to do that, right? Like that's just not where you go for it. Similarly, social media is not really where you open up anymore to like follow a creator or to have trust around products. We know that consumers are feeling this and seeing this because, again, it's in the numbers. The younger the demographic, actually, the more that they say that they rely on creators for their trends and their purchase decisions. So if you're Gen Z, 91% of those say that they go to creators to find trends. 74% say that they actually rely on creators for their purchase decisions. I know I always get pushback when I bring this study up of like, okay, well, I'm not Gen Z. Well, maybe I'm a millennial or I'm a boomer. Like, tell me what's happening there. What's happening there is that the more you know about digital, the less you trust anything about it. So, if you are a boomer millennial, you've just spent less time online and you're less aware, just like me with my team telling me something was fake, than Gen Z. They can spot it immediately. My Gen Z team was the one who was like, Amber, for sure, 100%, this is totally fake. I can't believe that you even realize this. My point is, as a culture, we are moving to realize that we have to go to real people, not just for trends, but also for our purchase decisions. So we are leaning in huge to maximize on being a place that you can trust. We relaunched the LTK app this year. Still a free app, still a top app in the Apple Store. And there's a couple cool features that really reinforce finding people that you can trust. So one of my favorites is actually creators near you. So if you open up the new consumer app, the central tab is a watch tab where you can watch videos actually based on creator location. So there's a couple ways, honestly, that I use this feature. One, for example, I'll be going to London to see the team there. I'm flipping that to London and style. So you have like basically two dials. You have one at the top that you can pick major cities. Underneath, you can pick like categories. Do you want to see beauty or active or lifestyle, or what category are you looking for? So when I go to London, I know they dress a little bit different than we do here in Texas. I want to make sure that I'm like on trend. I understand what's happening with the weather. I want to see what people there are doing. So I'm flipping to the London tab and I'm watching all those creators. Not only is that giving me new creators to discover that I might want to follow, which I absolutely do. I love our international creator sets, but also just kind of gets me prepared for where I'm going this summer. The other thing I think is really cool about this is actually near you. So this just launched like last week. And now when you go in and update your app, if you want to, you can actually see creators that are truly proximate to you. Maybe you're not in Chicago or Dallas or San Francisco or London or Paris. Maybe you're just like, hey, I live in this like different place and I just want to know what's happening here. You can actually turn on your location and we'll tell you which creators are publishing, and you can watch them all in that feed. Why would you want to do that? Well, I think first of all, creators that are in your own environment, It's the same thing as like London, right? Like there are certain regional trends, there's certain weather that's different. I will tell you where I live right now, it's very dusty. I do not wear white outside. I do not wear sandals outside. Like there's just a way you dress here for the weather and the context, right? But also, I want to see where creators are eating, where they're running, where they're working out, like what is happening in my area. And one of the cool things about this near me is this is people that you could pass on the street, depending on the density of your area. This is literally by a bundle of zip codes. So when I think about trust, like how can I get you to real human creators in the LTK app? I can do that also by organizing them based on sort of where they live and then what activity they're interested in. I know, for example, for Baxter, he's a runner. He's always flipping to the activity tab in different cities and near us, just trying to see what people are doing, what tools they're using, where they're running, all of that. So creators near you, this is, I think, just the coolest thing. And it's only available on LTK. There are 300,000 creators using LTK. So how can we organize them to make them relevant for you? This is a really cool way to do that. The next thing that I think just really helps with trust is connecting with friends. So we've just rolled this out. You can connect your phone book now on the LTK consumer app, and you can actually see your friends and see who they follow. I love this because my friends follow some cool people, and actually, I follow some creators. They're in my phone book, and I'm able to see who they follow. Like, I have my friends that have just fantastic taste, or that I'm like, oh, who did you find? Almost 40% of Gen Z and millennial women in the U.S. use LTK. So odds are there's a lot of people in your phone book that are already on LTK, and you can actually just click through and see who they follow. So be sure to check that out. Coming very soon, probably by the time this podcast is live, are chats. So this is another way when I think about like how do you connect with real human creators. Chats is gonna be so cool. So we're launching this on creators profiles. So you'll actually be able to go to me. I'm at Amber Venz Box on the LTK app. There's multiple tabs. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but like there's the main tab that has like all my most recent content. That's what happens when you just like load into my profile. There's also a tab there that says products. That products tab is awesome, honestly. If you want to know, like, for example, over the weekend, there's a Veronica Beard sale. If you just want to search Veronica Beard, it'll just show you all the products that I have featured from Veronica Beard. Or maybe you're like, I need new sunglasses. I wonder which ones Amber's wearing. You can just type in sunglasses. Like, go look for anything, and it'll very quickly get you to those products. You can search through content, or you can search through that products tab as well. There will now be a third tab. So this is the chat tab. This is where we can talk to each other. So on LTK, you're now a real person. There's a whole profile there. Go like add your picture, add your username, connect with your friends. That is what is going to enable you to be able to actually talk to me. So when I'm sharing with you, I love XYZ face mask, you can actually reply and say, hey, have you tried this one? Or I've had better luck with this other one. Or, hey, what size in that jacket that you shared? Or can you tell me a little bit more about like why you decided to move? Like we can talk about anything there. I'm going to test out a couple different kind of topics. And I'm excited to see what you guys, bite on and what you love. So be sure that you go check out the chats tab. It'll be with all of your favorite creators. And I'm really excited that you'll be able to speak just directly and have a voice too on their platform. So we've talked a lot about on the consumer side, or if you are an LTK, just a broad user, all the cool things that you can now do on LTK, the creator app. From a creator perspective, these things are really important because we want to connect with our communities and our audience. We want you guys to be reachable. When we create something and share something, like we want our community to see it. And there's nothing better, honestly, than being in dialogue with you guys and getting feedback. I not only like taking pictures, but I like talking with you about them. And it's a huge important piece of what I do. So I hope that you guys enjoy that as well. The other side of this are the brands, right? So these are our partners. This is who pays the bills if you're a creator. We have been working to build out just a one-stop shop for the entire marketing team on the brand side, regardless of the size of the business. If you're a $23 billion business or you are a $23,000 business, I want to make sure that we have tools for your entire marketing team. I want to make sure they're not doing duplicative work. I want to make sure they're building on each other's work. I want to make sure that everyone can understand the full funnel value of a creator. That means everything from what's happening across not only LTK, but every single social media platform, from impressions and saves and shares and that engagement level, but even down through the conversion, the sales level. And then we're now feeding that back to you guys. So if you're a brand on LTK, you can now go and see your leaderboard. You can see your top performing creators across every single metric, who's driving traffic for you, who's creating content for you, who's driving sales for you. All of that stuff is in the app, and then go act on it. Send them a message, send them a gift, collaborate with them. So that actionability becomes so important. As a brand, I used to have a jewelry line. This would have been a dream product for me to actually be able to see who's interested in my stuff, or to be able to reach out to creators directly there. So on the brand side, we have been investing a ton, and there's a lot of great stuff there. So I'm going to break for a minute to move on to the QA. You guys were amazing to send me QA. The LTK team does solicit this stuff through the LTK handles. I also do on my broadcast channel. So if you're not yet following my Instagram broadcast channel, go follow it there, and I'll always let you know when it's time to insert your questions, and then I answer them directly here. So, as always, let's see, I'm scrolling through these. We've got a lot of different topics that you guys have hit on, everything from creator industry, let's see, to even, back to kind of like family and personal stuff. So, we'll just jump right in on these. Advice for beginners. This one, I've talked about this before. So on my previous solo podcast as well, definitely go back and check that out. There's a lot of great meat there. And I actually go way deeper on some of the topics that I've skimmed today. So be sure you go back and listen to that. Advice for beginners, I would say this is true of any industry that you're in. It's just intentionality. So it's making a plan and following the plan. The plan is the most important thing. If you start doing or building anything before you have a plan, you're going to end up in a mess of things that, you like. Even if you're like an architect building, on a piece of land, like you want the full master plan. So you don't just like stick the house in the middle. Then you're like, wait, I didn't leave room for like a play set, or actually I needed a driveway here. Like you need to sort of understand what we call like the top of the puzzle box. Like, what does it look like when it's together? But what that means is, who are you talking to? Where are you going to be doing that talking? What type of content? How frequently are you going to be publishing? How long are you going to do this for? It's truly setting a very basic plan and then following that plan. The second piece of it is always sharpening based on data. So I mentioned to you guys, this podcast episode actually only exists because I saw that you loved it. I really did not know that this is what you guys would be interested in or want. And so we created this based on the data told me, hey, surprise, they actually, while they love these other people, they really love listening to you directly. So here I am, again, changing the plan, sharpening the plan because I had new information. Similarly, on my LTK, when I moved out to the ranch, I started wearing denim a lot more. You guys love my denim. Like I sell a ton of denim. And that was totally new for me. I never talked about denim when I lived in Dallas. And so I saw that, I pivoted. I was like, hey, well, I do wear it all the time. I just never showed it. So let me get there. Or my casual shoes always do well. These are things that like I'm not personally passionate about, but everyone does need and use them. And so I was able to sort of pivot my strategy based on data. So once you have, a good enough amount of time, reflect back. What were the posts that did well? What were the posts that didn't do well? What were the products that sold? What were the products that didn't sell? You can apply this sort of mentality to any business, but again, intentionality, make a plan before you just jump in. Around that plan too, by the way, I would say calendaring is just so important. I can't say it enough. I've said it 1,000 times on this podcast, but it's calendaring. It's also time boxing. If you give your okay, let's say for example, you were like, Amber, make a deck about this topic, and you were like, you have till next Friday to do it. I'd probably spend like 13 hours making that deck. But if you said, hey, Amber, make a deck and you have an hour and a half to do it, I would get it done. Like I would make it during that period of time. And that's actually just sort of true of like human theory, time box things. Like this is worth this amount of my time. I'm going to do that. Also time box your day. Being an entrepreneur, you can just end up working around the clock, and that's what leads to burnout. And so it's just, I'm going to stop work at this time, whatever that time needs to be for you. And I'm going to pick it up again at this other time. So you don't just let it there's always something to do, right? And a lot of us, especially in work from home, it's just can be a never ending work cycle. So block that out. Okay. Someone else said, I love listening for motivation and perspective on scale. So just to kind of unpack the scale piece a minute, scale is really all about systems. And what she means by scale is just like big enough, right? So whatever business you're in, how do you make it big? How do you service it big? How do you like more than just like being able to service a couple customers? How do you service at scale? It's all about systems and processes. And so you really have to go back and think about what are the workflows within your specific industry or business? What can be outsourced? What can be pared down? What's working? What's not? Also, I'll just say that AI is changing everything. You can literally plug, let's say that you're a chef and you know that you need to start really investing in your social media or creating an LTK, you can actually just plug in like, "Hey, my name is this," and into like Chat GPT. If I was going to be successful in LTK, like what would I do? What would I talk about? How frequently? Like it's not always right, by the way. And Chat GPT, just like every AI, can totally hallucinate. But especially if you're like a known person or you have a known skill, they actually can find all that stuff on the internet about you and help to create a plan. I only mention that because AI can do so much for you right now in making even plans. Um, when I say AI is changing everything, it's whether you're a small business or a large business. I don't know if you guys saw the Shopify CEO memo that went out, and or even like with Klarna, they're talking about how, now you need to prove, like, even I think maybe I don't want to misspeak, but like definitely for new hires, but I don't know if it's even existing people, you need to prove that an AI cannot do that job. It's a fact of business today, and businesses small and large. And so I would just encourage you, even if you're a one person show, what can AI be doing for you to just help you get to those answers in that end state and that work product much faster? I think the other thing is, what can you cut out? That can be such a huge hindrance in hitting scale in your business. Is a lot of times we're just doing extra things, especially I can speak to like a small business. Let's pretend that this is like a specialty goods company. Maybe you're doing personalized products and you want to make sure that not only are you making the napkins and the stir sticks that somebody ordered, but you have decided that you are going to like wrap them beautifully and like put a big bow on them and like write personally, like a handwritten personalized letter. Those things can go really far when you're first starting your business because you want people to feel cared for and loved. But I will tell you, even at the yurts, so local chapter is a business that we have, and it's at the entrance of Big Bend National Park. I want like hand touches all over that, but we have 7 yurts, and imagine now extrapolate that out for all the guests that come all the time. I literally cannot write enough handwritten notes thanking people. Like I would spend hours and days and days and days doing that. So that now has to become like a printed material. But do people really care? No, because they're there for the view and that it's the nicest place and it's the largest rooms. Like they're there for something else. I mention all of that because don't like it used to break my heart that they were not handwritten, but it's not actually why they're there. And I mention that because there's things that are like nice to haves and nice to do's. But in the example I was giving about the personalized products, did adding all of that cellophane and bow, first of all, it drove up your expense, literally your actual expense because cellophane and bows are expensive, but now your human cost because a human has to do that, a machine cannot do it. And then probably your shipping, right? Because then it's now like a bigger box. Did people just want a great price on personalized products and to get to them quickly? Or did they really care that you wrapped it up? So I mention those things because think about what your customer actually deeply really wants and then spend your time making that thing the best. So oftentimes, again, there can be friction in creating scale because we spend times on the minutia that we actually think as like the founder of the company or as a creative is like so important, but it took up so much time and so much resource and it didn't allow you to be successful. So what can you cut out? What are things that are just extra that are nice to have, but just don't make sense in your business that you can remove? And then the last thing is don't underestimate consistency. Whether that is, and by the way, I should jump back on that sort of like, what are the things that you can cut? Are you making like 1,000 collages and no one actually is looking at them, or it's not differentiating, or it's not making people follow you? It's not like, what was your goal with them? Are they achieving that goal? Did you need to, or can you just stop doing it? For some people, they can look at that and say, actually, this is like huge for me. And you should keep doing it. But I'm just saying, look at everything that you are doing and decide like, was it worth the extra effort? Another example might be, hey, I do 100 stories a day. Well, how many people are you reaching? And what is your total like follower base? How many people could you be reaching? What if you took that time, since you are a discrete resource and you only have a certain amount of hours in the day, and you made 2 long form videos? And what if you put those on LTK, you distribute it out to YouTube? What are things that, that you have a certain period of time that you could reroute to be more valuable and to reach more people, right? That's what scale is about. When I say don't underestimate consistency, I've been a blogger since I started my blog 2010. I didn't ever I've changed the platforms. That's like my core platform. I actually don't even have my blog anymore, but I've continued to be there and continued to publish. And so there's a trust that like I am an actual creator, but I didn't just like pop up overnight because I've been doing it for a long time, right? And so people have faith in me. If you're, especially whether you're getting started out or you're in the middle of your career, like not being consistent, whether it's the product that shows up on the porch or you being the product and showing up for your audience daily, don't underestimate the value of consistency. Okay. This was not a question, but I just wanted to insert that I have been definitely learning a lot lately. I'm very introspective and like to sort of consider what's been happening in my life and what's going on. And I always want to share that with you guys. One of the things that actually came out of like a recent therapy session as I tried to understand myself and what I do and why I do it and how I can, just be better was this concept about drawing a box around yourself and your family. So, an example was in this context, I said, "Oh, I want to do this thing, but I'm afraid that it might hurt someone's feelings or they might feel a certain way, or this might make other people feel like they have to do it too. So I think I'm not going to do this thing." And my therapist said, "Amber, you need to draw a box around your people," because she knows that I deeply care about my family, as you guys know too. Your backstory, your kids, yourself. What do you want inside of that box? Did you want that experience? Did you want to do that thing? Do you think it's going to make their lives better? Is it something that makes you happier? I said, yes. And she was like, then let them. She's the one who encouraged me to read the Let Them book. But she was like, let them feel like they have to do it. Let them, not like you because you did or whatever. If you feel like this is right for your family and the context that you want to have for them and their memories and their experiences, do what's right for you. Don't let other people's maybe, mights, could influence the thing that you're doing that is right for your family. So I did want to share that was a 2025 kind of revelation that has been really useful for me, because I do want to be considerate. Obviously, you're hearing my voice. Like I'm constantly thinking about how things impact other people, and there's a good part to that, right? But then there's also it becomes powerful in your life. And as a pleaser, that was something that I was really struggling with, was making decisions more about could it hurt some, you know, and these are nice things, right? I'm not talking about like anything like dramatic that's going to actually hurt people, but I just didn't want people to feel what she calls a certain kind of way. And she's saying, hey, look, like this is your box, this is your context, this is your life. Do what you need to do within that and be confident in that decision for your group of people. It's really helped me. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. Okay, jumping back to the real questions here. So, do most of the successful creators on LTK have teams? Okay. I actually love this question because I feel very passionate about what I'm about to say. Success is not based on the number of team members. To me, success in a business is your net revenue. It's literally how much money you make. Like as a creator or any business, whether you're making that personalized goods thing or you've got the local chapter and you're selling hotel room nights, it's literally how much money you get to have to feed your family, go on vacation, fix your car. It's that type of stuff, right? So if you have 10 people on your team and you make $10 million, but it costs you $10 million to make the $10 million, you just spent a lot of time for no reason. My favorite creator business on LTK is actually the creator who has literally one person helping them and they are making that $10 million and they have one full-time employee. Here's why I mentioned that. They're taking home more money than the person with a huge team. The huge team could be, in a lot of cases, maybe making more money. But like top line money, right? Like they sold more stuff, they earned more collaborations. But if it took 1 million people to do that and there was nothing to bring home, then like did it even matter? And then there's a whole like actually like an old school fable about this. Have you guys heard of this like fisherman's fable? It's where there's a fisherman and he's out and he's like fishing and he like brings the bag of fish in and he like sells them to the local restaurant, and this man comes in from out of town and he's like, hey, I want to like set you up in business. Let's get you like 5 boats. And he's like, why would I want 5 boats? Well, because then you could get 5 times as much fish. And then you could sell 5 times as much to the restaurant, which means that you can then get 10 boats. And then you could go out and you invest in that. And then you could have, and he goes through this whole thing. And then you have this like massive business. And he was like, yeah, but I have the life I want right now. I go to my little boat that's paid for. I make money every day and I have the whole afternoon maybe to be with my kids or to swim or do whatever, instead of managing 100,000 people and a fleet of 100,000 boats. Like that's not actually what I wanted. So I'm taking this opportunity to share with you, like ask yourself what success looks like for you in your life. What does it mean? Like, what do you actually want? I mean, increasingly, I think people are really realizing that having their own kind of like discretionary time is is kind of something that in a way like money can't buy. Like how valuable is that? And so if you want discretionary time, I can definitely say that, having a team, whether it's 5 or 10 or 15, those are just 5 or 10 or 15 people who have emotional needs, financial needs, HR questions. It really builds the demand on you as the founder ultimately, and can totally take away from the time that you could be visioning the business, creating for the business. I say that with full knowledge that obviously at LTK we have hundreds of people, but I also have a huge people team that manages them. And so it's less of a direct burden on me, but especially as you're getting started in business, I will tell you one of the most candidly, like the most challenging things for me as a founder for the first many, many, many years of this business was just recruiting, motivating, activating, like getting the most of our team. I say that also with there is no perfect org. So org structure, people think about like, okay, here's the org chart and like, here's the perfect org chart. And we need to like build into this org chart. And this person needs 2 reports and this person needs 3 reports. And like, this is what it looks like and how it looks. Anyone who has worked at LTK, which is now thousands of people over the last 15 years, can tell you that change is the constant. There's no perfect org. And we are constantly moving people around to make sure that they're in the best position for that moment. Imagine if we still had the same org from when Instagram was like just a reverse cron feed. Like imagine, like we would be so screwed. You have to constantly be changing for the market. The market is changing so quickly now, especially with AI, that you should be assessing this like if not quarterly, half yearly, for sure yearly. Like things just your needs are going to change as an organization. Or back to that whole thing of like what are you doing that you shouldn't be doing? That's also an assessment that we do very frequently at LTK. Do we have a service or product that we launched and we're excited about maybe last month, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago that's no longer valuable to our customers, but that takes us time, money, human resources to support? Let's just turn it off, right? So I think it's also important to realize that whether you are a team of 1 or 3 or 100, that you should constantly be making sure that you have the right people in the right position based on the business need at that time. It's just healthy. And I think some people assume that, they always just have to, if they're not getting what they need right now, they just need to add more people. That's not always the case. Maybe you just have the wrong people, the wrong players, or they're maybe just in the wrong positions. Let's see, I have a couple more minutes left here. Let's see. Thought process and chosen sacrifices required to prioritize family time. Well, you always hear me say this starts with a calendar. I think I've heard this analogy before that I really like, which is for you want to start with like putting, if you have a jar and you have like, you need to fill up with like sand and rocks and stuff. You don't put the sand in first and then the little rocks and the big rocks. It literally will not fit. You have to actually put like the boulders in first and then the next biggest and then the next biggest and then pour the sand that fills in the spaces. So with that sort of analogy for you, you just need to think about what are your boulders? So the reason I'm like replying to you in this sort of more of a theoretical way, because what's important to me and my trade-offs are going to be different for you and your trade-offs. Um, you know, when I say start with the calendar, I think that's how you get to the boulders, right? So I always think about how you spend your time. Is it that for me, like I grew up, we drove every single year since I was a little kid to go skiing. And I wanted my kids to have that same experience. So skiing every year, it's on the calendar. That is a boulder. We are doing it. I want them to have the skill. I want the minimum memory personally. I want to do it just for my own just enjoyment. So that's going to be on the calendar. I also know that like every so frequently, I really need a kid-free environment with Baxter. I will tell you last weekend, that literally meant just going to Dallas silently, not telling anyone, and have it my mom was so kind to come in. She came in, stayed with the kids here at the ranch. We went to Dallas and we spent the weekend just in Dallas because we could order food in. We could stay in our house and just kind of, again, be child free and just spend time together. It's not that we like did something overly amazing. We didn't. Like we were super boring. But we needed a minute. And I think like every once in a while, we just also like need a minute. And I will tell you, I've never had better sleep in my life than doing that. And it was very simple. But that's another boulder that I'm going to put in there. The next thing I'm going to look at with the calendar are how do I want my weeks and nights to be filled? So for me, when we left Dallas, I realized that every single night was filled for my children and every single night was filled for me. We never crossed paths, or it was just that one got sucked into the other, right? And out here, I really wanted to make sure that we were not scheduling every night. What did that mean for us? You asked about sort of what were the chosen sacrifices. It meant for me that like I don't go back to Dallas for any sort of, charity events, for, candidly, often for friends' birthday parties. Like I send flowers, I send a gift, I see them when I see them, we celebrate, but like I don't travel for that. Um, we've even not I'm going to get real hate on this one, but like I've even not traveled for certain relatives like life events because I'm like, you know what? It's too big of a sacrifice that we just can't manage right now. And so I kind of have to measure what that is for my brother, for my mom, for my dad, for Baxter's, sister, and for his parents. Like we will be there. Outside of that ring, there are a lot of people. And it doesn't always make sense to do all the things that are going on in all of their lives. It means that our kids aren't in a ton of sports. So each season, lately, and this might change. All of this is obviously subject to change, but we pick a sport. They're all, hopefully we can stack teams. They're on like doubled up on teams. Someone plays up, someone plays down, just because we can't do 4 teams every weekend. That's not going to work for us. So we pick one sport and we do that all together. And these are things that are not, they're for me, right? Like this is my box. And so again, back to the, used to, I'd be like, well, it's one of my very best friends and they want support with this charity thing. It's like, well, if you really want to support the charity thing, find other ways to support the charity thing, right? There's other ways for my friends to know that I love them than me like traveling for their birthday or spending the night doing that. I can send flowers. I can send them a really nice card, just telling them how much they mean to me in their life. So I know I've gone deep on this. This is one that comes up as a big question every time, is just kind of understanding sacrifices. And there's obviously downsides to everything that I'm talking about. I love a party. I love a good time. I love my friends. I candidly want my kids to be good at sports. But I actually think it's super valuable right now in our life that I have that discretionary time with them to just like play freely, and to just not be stressed onto the next thing. Because in this moment, I think it's best that I am like a balanced and calm and have as least stress as possible. I'm laughing saying that because obviously any parent, you've got a lot of stress just by nature of being a parent, and then add in all the other things within your life that add up. But this is how kind of I'm regulating for my family. But I think anyone can do this with their own boulders and pebbles and sands to kind of fill your jar. And I do think, like I said, back to the thing about the calendar, to me, it always starts with a calendar and making sure that you have prioritized those things as appointments within your life, so that in the end of the year, beginning of the year, you can look forward and say, this is what it's going to be like. And I feel good about that. At the end of the year, you reflect back and then again, you sharpen and make adjustments. Thank you guys so much for being here, for listening to this podcast, for being part of my life. Honestly, I get such joy from talking to you, from these questions, from getting to share just any tidbits that I have learned. I encourage you all to share them, whether it's on my broadcast channel, you can share them there. My LTK chat is launching next week. Like, let's have these types of conversations there as well. I always want to be sharing what I'm learning. And I just thank you for being here. Those who have been with me since 2010 or those who joined in this year. I am Amber Venz Box, creator launched 2010. And you can find all my professional stuff on LinkedIn, everything that's going on in my life on my LTK. I'll give you some of the highlight reel on Instagram, and monthly lately. This is where I am on my podcast, More to Say. You can listen to More to Say on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'd love to hear from you. Share your comments and questions in the reviews section, or you can reach me at Amber Venz Box on LTK, Instagram, or LinkedIn.